Hello, my name is John Rose, and in this video I'd like to take a closer look at two questions that we can use whenever we're a little uncertain what we should do. First question, how can I help? Second question, what's in it for me? Now if we take a closer look at that first question, how can I help? This is coming from the Spirit. How can I make everything around me better? Spirit. Second question, what's in it for me? How can I make my life better? That's the ego. And what's interesting about these two questions is not only can we use them to help us do the right thing, but the definitive answer to the second question is actually the definitive answer to the first question. And another interesting thing about the definitive answer is you really can't intellectualize about it. You've got to experience something you haven't experienced before. And when you have this new experience, this brand new reference, it's going to change your mentality. You see, this is the biggest problem we suffer on this planet. That's why we have to ask these questions all the time. Is we have the wrong mentality, and there's only one way to change our mentality. We really can't think our way into changing our mentality unless we use that intellect to find the knowledge we're missing and apply it. And when we do that, then we bump up our biophoton levels, and then we realize that we're all one with everyone. Then we realize there's only one way to make our lives better, and that's to make everything around us better. You see? Now, how can you help? You can be the best that you can be, get reconnected, bump up your biophotons, and make everything around you better. And you're going to want to do that. Why? Because you realize it's who you are. Only one way to make you better, make everything around you better. We can't even intellectualize about that now because we don't feel it and sense it. Remember, the fall of mankind destroyed a nutrient that feeds one of our senses. We lost one of our senses. It's sunlight energy, coherent sunlight energy that we're supposed to store in the nucleus of our cells. It's actually faster than the speed of light. Ties into an experiment Einstein did with two other gentlemen, the EPR paradox. And this experiment's been duplicated many times that proves that we have something very special inside of us if we don't make the first mistake. And as long as we make the first mistake, as long as we destroy this coherent sunlight energy that's in the nucleus of our cells that allows us to sense and feel we're all one so we know what to do, if we destroy that, what's going to happen? There's only one outcome. We're going to be disconnected. Chaos, right? What's the one word that describes our species more than anything else? I think chaos describes it perfectly. And what is chaos? No communication. And what is biophotons? Communication. Biophotons, our cells communicate. Think of our biophotons as little miniature cell phones inside of our cells. We all got them in there, but the batteries are low. You got the signals can come to you if you just have the energy to get them. You don't have them. Our biophoton levels are too low. So, once you bump up your biophoton levels, you're going to realize what the definitive answer is to the second question. How can I make my life better? What's in it for me? I'll tell you what's in it for you. You want to be the best that you can be, like every other animal strives to do on this planet. You don't find two animals that go out into nature and one eats the good quality grass and the other eats the bad quality grass. However, if presented with some crap that we've created, they'll go for that, won't they? You see what we're up against? Just about everything in our society conspires against us, and it starts early in childhood. Society attacks early before we have the ability for critical thinking, and then they don't teach these skills in school. So if I appear to get angry at you guys, I'm angry at the educational system. I'm angry at the whole, everything. It's maddening once you realize it. And this is what keeps a lot of people from ever figuring it out, because they don't want to realize it because they think there's nothing they can do. And yes, I agree. Helplessness is one of the worst emotions that can disable us. But we're not helpless. There's a simple solution. Just get reconnected. How do you do that? Well, you stop cooking your food. Most people can't do that. They can't just go from where they're at to this. It's going to shock the system. And a lot of people think, well, John, if we do your first step, isn't that going to shock your system? It's what our body wants more than anything. It wants a vacation. It wants to stop processing crap. And even if you stop processing crap and you're running everything through there, there's a good chance you still have things inside you that haven't come out. You hear stories like this all the time. Yeah, I was a raw vegan for 10 years, and all of a sudden I had a barium x-ray and I noticed that my colon had this twist in it. Didn't know I had a damaged colon. And all of a sudden she ends up pooping out a boot of a doll or something bizarre. I'm telling you, we are a damaged species. And the first thing we did that damaged us is when we damaged our food. That's what fire does. And you see, it's so obvious when you think about it logically with common sense. But since we're addicted to the cooked food, we shut off our frontal lobe immediately. So we have a mental processing error. And it's tantamount to being a crackhead. The reason why these poor guys suffer so much with that drug is the crack destroys their frontal lobe, which allows them to make good decisions. And therefore they keep making the bad decision, they keep doing the drug. And we're basically no different. That's what the cooked food has done to us. It's made us addicted to it. So when we shut off our frontal lobe, this is how we run to denial. Somebody's keying in some information. Don't hit the return button, the enter button. Hit the delete, 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 delete. Let's not process that information. This is what most people do. And of course, most people don't even take the initiative to even look into it. That's one of the biggest obstacles we're up against. How do you get people to even consider that what they're eating and the things that are bringing them pleasure might not be their ideal diet? This is one of the reasons why I struggled over the years to try to figure out how to tell this message, to keep people from shutting off their frontal lobe. I didn't understand that until that study was published in 2011. And when I read it, I go, oh, it all makes sense now. I can reflect back on everybody I ever talked to, and I can see their brain just shutting right off in front of me. And now when it happens, I go, okay, no use talking to this rock anymore, because that's what you guys turn into, a rock. The brain ain't working. You ain't processing information. So I've struggled over the years to come up with a clever way to wake people up, and it's not an easy thing to do. As soon as you mention food, you turn a lot of people off. So what's a good approach? Well, just tell people we're making mistakes, making 5 of them. We can correct those on a temporary basis just to test them out to see if it makes a difference. And when we do, you're going to see a huge transformation. A lot of people that went from the SAD diet to a whole food plant-based diet, you're going to see a huge difference. How do I know? Because that's what I did. I went to the whole food plant-based diet. Great diet, great transition. Don't get stuck there. Don't believe people who are invested in this knowledge and they can't see the truth. And then they lie to you and tell you stupid things like you can't feed the planet with our ideal diet, which is mainly fruit. My God, how ridiculous of a statement is that? Look at this field back here. I could grow enough food in this little section right here to feed everybody in this area. We could have this guys, it's an idiotic statement to make, and even more idiotic to accept it, but this is kind of how our brain works. It's real tricky. We want to believe things that allow us to make mistakes. So we tend to be a little biased. It's called cognitive bias. Tend to not even want to look at the other side. I love looking at 2 arguments and looking which one makes sense and which one doesn't. Because one is going to make a lot of sense and one's not going to make any at all in many cases. And that's what I've done with a lot of things with certain beliefs that I had. And when you do that, it's so obvious. It's so obvious. But what we're up against is all the crap that's been bombarded into our system. That there's nothing wrong with cooking our food. We get more lycopene and beta-carotene after all. It reminds me of that book written about coffee. And they said, the reason why we don't know the truth about coffee is all the reporters and all the researchers are addicted to coffee. No different than the cooked food. That's why you can't study anthropology without getting a bunch of garbage thrown at you. Our conclusions are, you don't know anything. You can't formulate a conclusion. Evolutionary biologists, boy, that's got to be the biggest joke out there ever. My God, again, if you don't understand what the real fall of mankind is, you're going to look at everything else and try to evaluate it, and you're going to be completely clueless as to what is really going on. So, I'm not discounting what a lot of these people are saying. That's why I've identified 281 pieces. Everybody's got a piece somewhere and fits into the story. But is the piece that you're talking about what we need, or is it keeping us from finding what we need? Is it keeping us from applying what we need? Or are you just trying to distract everybody? Remember, the status quo wants to stay the status quo. And all they have to do is keep us distracted. All they have to do is keep us from understanding one simple truth. And that is that we should not cook our food. That's why you can get a PhD in nutrition and not understand that. That's why you can get a medical degree in any field of specialty you want and not know the true cause of disease. The status quo wants to stay the status quo. Sickness begets sickness. We are a sick species, and the main reason is cooking, period. Yes, the animals make it worse, yes. But if you want to protect the animals, if you want to save the animals, start with us humans first. And again, I said this the other day, and I might not have been explicit enough in the way I said it, but some of you vegans really do put the animals above the humans, and I can understand why you feel that way, because some humans really are pretty bad, right? But again, you're short-sighted. You have to look at this a little bit deeper. You see, what I do, whenever I study something, I go into it, I grab it, I say, I got me another piece of knowledge. I'm going to put it over here in my puzzle. I got a bunch of pieces in my puzzle. As soon as I find another piece I didn't have before and I put it in there, I then take a step back and I try to look at the big picture. Kind of like that, I don't watch TV, what's the name of that game show? God, I can't even think of what it's called. Wheel of Fortune, where I'll buy a valve or whatever. You know, you're getting more pieces to the puzzle and you finally solve the phrase or whatever it is. Well, this is what we want to do with knowledge. We want to be open-minded. We want to study both sides. We've got to take the knowledge we find, put it up into our puzzle, take a big step back, and now let's see if we can connect some pieces. And when you start connecting pieces, it's really interesting because you actually reduce the total number you have because you're able to group certain pieces in puzzles. And this is a gift that I was given, and this is why I'm doing what I'm doing today with you guys. I knew I was given a gift at an early age, and I said, why are you giving this gift, John? Well, you're going to use it to help people. This is what I'm doing. I'm really good at connecting the dots. And when I found the number one piece of the puzzle, I went out looking for all the other pieces. So, every time you find knowledge, put it back up in there and take a step back and say, does that change my story? Am I really given the definitive answer? Does my new answer solve everything, or is it the definitive answer? In most cases, it's not. At least this is what's happened to me. I kept finding pieces and putting them in there, and I go, is it the definitive answer? I go, no, it's not. Got to go back looking. Be open-minded. Question everything. Test it. That's the main thing. Because we don't want to chase rabbit holes or get lost down a rabbit hole and chase rabbits or however you want to call it. The devil's in the details. We want to study what's important. The most important thing we need to understand is knowledge of how to live. We don't want to be distracted. We got to understand that there's more confusion in the area of nutrition than anything else. You got to find pieces that make sense, put it to the puzzle, and then take a step back and say, does that make sense? And when you look at the raw food message, it makes sense. How long did we go before we started cooking our food? 99% until we started consistently cooking our food. What were we eating before we were cooking our food? We couldn't eat the grains, and I wouldn't want to eat an animal raw, but I guess certain seafoods might be appealing to some. So perhaps maybe that was part of our diet at an early age. I don't know. Did we need it? We're not designed for it. Could we handle a minimal amount? Possibly. Is it appealing? Not to me. If I was starving and all I saw were oysters, I'd say, hey, in a different life, I used to like those. I'm going to try them. Hey, all right. Got to get your protein right. Once again, there's so much confusion. Who do you believe? Can we feed the planet on fruits? My God, look how much empty space there is. In fact, we could take everyone on this planet and move them into Texas and give them a house with a yard. They can grow their own food, and that's it. And that's just Texas. Take everybody on the planet, move them into the tropic areas where they can grow their own food. Everyone can be self-sustaining, and we can have big areas of lots. our little spaces of love, as the Ringing Cedar series calls it. Interestingly, that coincides with Norman Walker's last book, Back to the Land. This is what we got to do. We got to become self-sufficient. We got to ultimately be growing our own food. Food should be grown everywhere. Every time we eat or we go out in the day, there's only one job we have to do, and that's take a seed somewhere and plant it. If everybody did that, are you going to tell me that we don't have enough fruit to feed the planet? My God. Use your imagination if you have it. And I know not everybody has one. And it's not a flaw, it's just a personality characteristic. Anyway, don't settle for less. And that's what a lot of people are doing right now. What you're going to see if you are eating a crappy diet and you make it mediocre, you're going to see improvement. But it's not the best. Consider the best, and it's such a hard thing to do. The best thing to do is start with a solid food vacation. Give your body what it wants more than anything. It won't shock the system. And yes, we need fiber on an ongoing basis, but what we want to do is blast out the old stuff. We want to change the pressure in our colon. We want stuff to be dumped in the colon and get it out the body. We want to free up energy. When we're sick, we don't have energy to heal. And if we're all plugged up, if our small intestines are dirty, we can't assimilate nutrients. It doesn't do any good to eat the best of foods if you're not assimilating it. So before you start going out and spending all this good money, hard-earned money for good organic produce, make sure you can absorb it. Go on a short juice fast and clean out your entire 30-foot food tube. Watch the crap that comes out of you. A lot of it's going to be from the small intestines, which is where we're absorbing those nutrients. You want to clean those little fingers inside of our small intestines. So that's what the juices will do. It does so many things, and it's only on a temporary basis, so it's not intimidating. It's not frightening to people to consider to do something on a temporary basis. So that's why I'm convinced there is an idea as time has come, and we want to test it to prove that it's true. And if you're not ready, at least go to a raw vegan diet. And you might even try a water fast if you're up for it, but have your body tested if you have any heavy metals in you or environmental toxins, because it can damage your body if you don't have certain nutrients to deal with those, which we never had to worry about 4 generations ago. Didn't have that issue, but now we do. So, be the best that you can be. How can you help? Be the best that you can be. How can you make your life better? Make everything around you better. So when in doubt, how can I help? What's in it for me? And remember this also. All communication is either a love and response or a cry for help. And I see a few people crying for help in the comment sections. And I want you to know we're here for you. And I want everyone else to realize that they're hurting. And it's a sickness, it's a disease. It's contagious. Don't catch their disease. Don't respond back to them. I learned this lesson a long time ago, not quite the same way, but it was a valuable lesson. And we can control our fate. We don't have to let some idiot pull us down to their level. Don't you see? It's a good feeling to know that someone comes to you and they're hurting and you give them what they really want. They want love. Give them a loving response and find out how you can help them. And in most cases, they'll just melt right before your eyes. Because they're hurting. They're crying for help. People are not unkind unless they're hurting. So keep that in mind. And what they've got is contagious. Don't catch their disease. Be a healer. Help them. My channel has a purpose. I know I've got a message that can truly transform this planet. I know. I have no doubt about it. I've been contemplating on it for 26 years. I'm not an idiot. I'm not delusional. I only want to help people, and if I don't have the right knowledge, I want to know. So find a flaw in what I've got. Help. If I'm making a mistake, tell me. I want to know. I don't need to be right. I want to be right because I want to help. I've been given a gift. I knew I was supposed to use it for a reason. I created a tool to help you understand where all the pieces of the puzzle fit. You can go to the ultimate schematic and learn all about it. You can find out what piece number you are, and you might realize that you're not all alone. And that there are other pieces that you need to consider along with your piece as the solution. So whenever you find a piece of the puzzle, what do you want to do? You want to take a step back, look at the big picture. Where is the big picture? Go to the ultimate schematic playlist, and I'll be having a website up and running really soon. I'm sorry it's taking this long. And what I want to do is have a little one sheet page for my schematic, so it's like a map. It's two maps in one, so we can use it to get out of Plato's cave, and we can use it to get back to paradise. And you can help people saying, look, I know what your point is. You're over here, right here. Here, you're piece number 3. Oh my God. Or 95, or 103. And then you can see that all the pieces logically connect to one another. And it's not complicated once you see where everything fits. Right now, imagine doing a puzzle and you didn't have the picture of the box. Well, that's kind of what we do, right? We put it together. But once you see a picture, you really understand, oh, I already know the blue's over here and the reds are over here, and you can start gathering those like pieces together. So I've done that for you guys. I created a tool to help you see the logic and make sure you don't get tricked and fooled into believing people who say that we can make a mistake and it's okay. And that's what people like McDougall is doing. There are lots of people out there that don't have a complete message. And there are a lot of people who have found those messages, and they've seen how it improved their life, and they're very protective of this person. They're defending that person. That's why I'm getting a lot of thumbs down on a couple of my videos. And bring on the thumbs down. I said thumbs up the other day. I meant to say thumbs down. Go, give me more thumbs down. That makes me controversial. And now it's what people want to see, and if that's what it takes to go viral, that's all I care about. All I want to do is for my channel to grow, to help people, to help everyone realize it's not complicated. There's a simple solution for everything. And you don't have to be a genius to figure it out. All you got to do is be willing to do something you haven't done before on a temporary basis, so you can see what you're missing. And then once you see what you're missing, you're then in a position to go, okay, I realize life is an illusion. I thought it wouldn't be a fair trade to give up my potatoes and my starches to eat fruit, but I had no idea there was another level of existence. The fruits are vibrating at a much higher frequency. Why do you want to vibrate at a low frequency? You don't want to. You're just doing the best you can, and I understand that. So I don't take offense if you're going to attack me and give me a thumbs down and whatever adjective you want to use, say I'm disrespectful, I'm childish, blah 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 blah. And I'm sure you guys probably aren't even watching my video, and if you are, you're probably shutting off part of your frontal lobe. So parts of it that you need to understand, they might not be getting through. So watch the videos again with an open mind. And realize that there's only one thing I want. I want the best for everyone. I want you to be the best that you can be. And you can't really appreciate what that's all about until you change your mentality. You can't change your mentality until you bump up the biophotons. The fastest way to do it is a solid food vacation. You can go down below and check out the first of my 3-step process. You can watch the Dr. Roby interview or listen to it and get excited about what this can do for you. And you can watch the Deborah Duncan show. And you can see how this woman was bedridden, didn't have any energy to move for years. Why? Because she kept being fed. You don't feed a sick person that doesn't have any energy to move. And as soon as we did that, within 1 week, she was on the show. So watch the Deborah Duncan show and you can understand how important it is to understand everybody's unique. If you're really, really weak, if you're an invalid, if you don't have any energy, stop eating. When you have pneumonia, you don't have any energy to eat. If you feed them, you can kill them. That's why it's such a high cause of death in America. It's why Tilden never lost any patients. Saw more pneumonia patients than any doctor. Because he knew the lungs are being used as a fontanel. You see? Too much crap in the lymph system had to go somewhere. It goes into the tissues. It looks for ones that can escape the body, like the sinuses, colds and flus, into the lungs, pneumonia. The more you feed a sick person, the more you harm him. So if you have pneumonia, don't go running to the doctors. Go on a juice fast. Give yourself an enema if you have to. That's what Dr. Tilden would do. I'm not saying you have to, but stop eating solid food. Don't treat the cough. Don't treat the symptoms. They're there for a reason, to help you heal. Don't suppress the symptoms. Disease is a bodily process. The body's trying to heal itself. So we want to support the body when that happens. And we just have to take responsibility. We got to stop believing. See, the pneumonia is a perfect example of what I'm talking about here. What do they call pneumonia? Viral pneumonia, bacterial pneumonia. you see how we still have been brainwashed with all these ideas to think that there really is a virus that's causing it? My God, if I can't prove to you that viruses are bullshit, look at how many times they blame pneumonia on a virus. Now, remember, what we have is the lymph system backing up. There's a bunch of garbage in our lymph system, like dead genetic debris and waste matter from our cells. That's what's going in there. So if they identify something that has an RNA or DNA, they go, oh my God, look at this, it's the virus. No, it's just dead genetic debris that's backing up from the system that should have cleaned it out. So our so-called experts are being misdirected. They're clueless. Disease is a bodily process. Understand what causes it, understand what prevents and reverses it, and when you have that knowledge, you'll finally be able to understand what Edgar Cayce meant when he said, destiny or karma depends upon what the soul has done about what it has become aware of. Once you become aware that we have a disconnected species and all we have to do is get reconnected, you finally have a purpose in your life. Now that's your destiny, that's your karma. People watching my channel, that's what I want you guys to do. I want you to understand what your destiny could be. And it could be the trim tabs to society to get us back on the right path so we can play in paradise and not have all the needless suffering on this planet. So go down below, go to the first of my 3-step process, and when you do, you know what you're in for. It's a treat.